Fresh out of Game 7, like my man Cat once said, this what movies is made of. No, in all seriousness, though, if you're a basketball fan, I think today was just an incredible day for us. Two Game 7s. Obviously, the Knicks and the Pacers game wasn't nearly as close as this game, but both games did not disappoint, especially this Nuggets versus Timberwolves game. I got a few notes in front of me, but a lot of it is going to be fresh off the top of my dome because, like I said, it just happened. I got to give credit to Minnesota. The way that they battled in this series, not only out of the gate to go up 2-0, but I think it's just a different testament to speak on a team who goes up 2-0 on the road and then to go back home and then lose two games and allow a team to pick up that momentum. And not just any team, a Nuggets team that has been kind of head and shoulders above a lot of teams out west. The reigning champs with the reigning MVP, one of the best well put together teams as far as cohesion and chemistry and just flow. And when they lost those two games, Minnesota that be, it looked like Denver was starting to make that charge, and it looked like the momentum was all in their court to eventually win the series. And I think when you compare basketball, especially playoff basketball, to a boxing match, and you land a haymaker, is one thing, but I think the response to taking a haymaker or taking that strong hook, their knockout punch, when you're able to bounce back after one of those punches are land on you, that just it speaks volumes to the type of team that you are, first and foremost. So a lot of us are rooting for the Timberwolves just from a fan perspective because they have a lot of good stuff going on there. It's been a long time since they have this type of success. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think, is a guy that everybody around in the league roots for. He has a lot of funny moments, obviously some of the interviews and different things like that. But I think deep down we've all seen, the development of Karl-Anthony Towns coming into the league. We know about the personal things that have happened or transpired in his life and different injuries he's dealt with and the different narratives and opinions on his game. So to see him be able to have success, I think the NBA community is enjoying that part of it as well. And then you have a guy like Anthony Edwards who is as real as they come. And I think he is exactly what every NBA fan does want. And if they don't, they should soon want it. And what I mean by that is just the competitive nature. We talk about a lot of the old heads and different complaints that they have, and one of them is the competitiveness of basketball in these type of high leverage situations where the NBA does at times seem a little too friendly and guys are teaming up and they don't want to go at each other on these type of stages. And Anthony Edwards has done that all playoffs since going against his favorite player and idol and Kevin Durant in the first round and sweeping them and talking their talk and, backing it up. Same thing here with the Nuggets. He stayed the same no matter if they had the momentum and won a game. If they lost, he took responsibility and accountability when they lost one of those games at home. I think it was game 3 when he came out flat. Even the 2 games ago when Denver took the lead in the series and they had to go home to tie it up, he came out, he talked, he said, we're going to see y'all at game 7. He's backed it up. And I think that's just something that's refreshing in the NBA to see guys not only talk the talk, but walk the walk and not be afraid of the moment and to go at guys, even if it's love, even if you admire them, because that's what everybody really want to see. And tonight, that was just the main basis of the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was just surprising to me, and what I can't get over in my mind is how rattled down the stretch, the most important stretch of the game, how rattled the Nuggets looked. They are the reigning champs. They're the team with the experience. They're the team with the MVP. And to see them play the way that they did the last 6-5 minutes in the game was crazy. And it's all the result of how Minnesota has applied pressure to them defensively in a lot of these big games. They came out in the first 2 games and they applied the pressure. And, Denver was able to make some adjustments and guys made some shots for them when their back was against the wall in Minnesota. They took that momentum into game 5 and won that one. And I just think these last 2 games, Minnesota delivered. And you have to talk about a lot of these other guys. And I'm glad this game happened the way it did because there's a few key things to note. So in front of me, I have the first half of Anthony Edwards, which I was able to track. He went 1 of 7, 0 of 3 from 3 with 4 points. Right? 1 of 7 from your best player at the half with 4 points and a score 53-38. You're experienced in a certain way, but you're also not that experienced in a certain way as well. And you don't have the team experience of going through this type of adversity and fighting through it. So, and you're going against a team who has the adversity and isn't a team that you would think would lose a lead like this at home, playing in Denver, high altitude, MVP, reigning champs. The way that Jamal Murray and Jokic came out, it signaled that they weren't going to lose. And then to see Anthony Edwards, even when it's all said and done, have 16 points on 6 of 24 shooting, 2 of 10 from 3. I'm happy it happened this way because I think it's a great example for everybody in the basketball community, up-and-coming players, the media, coaches, other players around the league. This, to me, shows why Anthony Edwards has taken that major step in being the best shooting guard in the league and one of the best players in the league. Now, I'm not a guy that's ready to compare him to Michael Jordan like some others, but to me, these are the games that always mean the most to me and stand out to me because they're inevitably going to happen to each and every star. And I think this is why sometimes certain players, I'm not going to say any names, they have certain narratives or certain things around their name because when they have these 6 of 24 type performances going 2 of 10, there's no other way that they can impact the game. And a lot of guys start to fall away. They fade away the more the game goes on. And they lose interest in the game and they forget about everything else. And they forget that even when your shot isn't falling, there's other ways to compete and keep your team in it. And you just have to go with the game. You have to play within the game. And I think Anthony Edwards did a great job of that on both ends. I felt like there are certain shots that you have to take when you're in that seat of being the number one option, no matter how your night is going. There's just certain shots you have to take, make or miss, because it allows the opposing team to still have to pay a certain amount of attention to you. And I think a lot of stars, or not, I don't want to say a lot, but a lot of young stars, what starts to happen is they defer when the shot's not going in. We see that a lot of times, especially on a stage like this. A player looks up, he's 2 of 15, or he's 3 of 15, or in this case, he's 1 of 7 at the half, and they come out and there's a lack of aggression. But I think what a lot of people don't understand, and why I always tell people, efficiency is great. If you can be efficient on shooting, if you can have the incredible shooting splits that a guy like Steph Curry and Steve Nash, all of these guys have had, Kevin Durant, of course, we'll take that anytime you can. But when you're the number one option, I don't really care about Anthony Edwards' efficiency because he got the win. The job is to win the game at the end of the day. And sometimes you have to be able to get those wins when they ain't pretty. And nobody's going to walk away right now talking about Game 7 and 6 of 24. But if they would have, if he came out unaggressive, he came out 1 of 7 and then finished the game 1 of 15 and floated around and kind of moped and kind of folded. That's what's going to get talked about. But now, because he continued to lock in on defense, because he continued to encourage his teammates, because he continued to put pressure on the Denver's defense by saying, hey, even though I'm struggling, I'm still aggressive. I'm still taking and looking to make the same type of shots I've been making this whole series and taking this whole series. And now you have to guard me. You still have to pay a certain amount of attention to me. And that still opens up shots for guys like Jaden McDaniels. There was one play where even though he was struggling, I believe in the fourth quarter, where they was doubling. You have Aaron Gordon on one side and you have Michael Porter Jr. shading the other side. And he had turned the ball over a couple plays before when he tried to make the pass to the corner. I forget who was in the corner, but I know KCP intercepted the pass. This was a few plays later, if I'm not mistaken, where he was able to get the ball reversed. Instead of trying to make the home run pass and be the guy that makes the play, he just gave up the ball. The Timberwolves were able to have good ball reversal and it found Mike Conley on a left wing corner 3. And I think that did it give them the lead or did it pump up the league? I can't remember. But if you watch the game like I did, I'm sure you can remember this play. And that's the point that I'm making. Because he was still aggressive and because it's Anthony Edwards and because we know he can get hot at any time and Denver saw that he wasn't letting up, they still had to send 2. They were still worried and still committed to negating him from winning the game because he's that good of an offensive player. But if you fold if you care about your efficiency, if you're allowing that to play into your mental psyche of how you're attacking the defense and how you're attacking the opposing team, now we don't have to send to. Now you're hesitant, you're overthinking, you're passing up certain shots, and you're hesitating, and now you're throwing off your rhythm and different things like that, because there were certain plays in the game where it did in the third quarter look like he didn't have a good rhythm, or the second quarter his rhythm wasn't really there. And then in the fourth quarter, you started to see, because it was one shot in the third quarter where he didn't hit the rim at all. And you kind of like, damn, Anthony Edwards, you going to go out like this? But because he continued to attack, because he didn't care about efficiency, and because he stayed locked in on every aspect of the game, it allowed him to keep himself within the game and not lose sight. And before he knew it, the team was going on a run. And he made one of those threes, the big three, on the left wing in the slot. And there was a timeout or whatever, and he was telling one of his teammates, "Oh, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it." And I just think that performance is so much. It means so much than like a 30-point performance where everything is going right for him, right? Because every star looks good when everything is going right. Every star can impact the game when their shot is going. We could pull the top 15 players in the league right now, and all of them can be impactful when the shot is falling. All of them. We probably can do the top 25. When your shot is falling, a role player on any given team, a borderline all-star, or a guy that's never even been an all-star, they can be impactful. But who can impact the game when adversity is really right there staring you in your face? Game 7 on the road, down almost 20 points. Young team. Young star, I should say. Who can fight through that? And those are the things that I think the NBA is looking for some other guys. And because of his aggression, it allowed a guy like Jaden McDaniels to have 23. Another great, outstanding performance for him. Timberwolves fans know I've been saying for the last few seasons that this is the Jaden McDaniels that I expect. Now, do I expect him to always have 23 points, 21 points, different things like that? No. But I think he's a lot better of an offensive player than people realize, because they may not be as familiar with the Jaden McDaniels that I grew accustomed to when he was in high school, then when he went to Washington. And he took the route in the NBA of realizing that for me to get minutes early in my career, I'm going to have to lock in on the defensive side of the basketball. So NBA fans and NBA personnel around the league, they got accustomed to him being a defender. And he's kind of went into that mold because he plays with Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, and they have a good team, and he doesn't have the opportunity of having 15 to 20 shots on a nightly basis. But I think nights like this is super important. Being able to step up, even in Game 6, being able to step up when a team needs you. Certain plays where they're doubling Anthony Edwards, being able to cut, being able to have a 1-2 dribble, pull up, or getting in the paint, shooting over people, being able to knock down 3 out of 4 threes, getting to the free throw line 7 times. I think that's really the next step for Jaden McDaniels in his overall game, is continue to be aggressive and driving and using that length and size over smaller defenders and getting to the free throw line. Obviously, what Karl-Anthony Towns did was remarkable. I can't say enough about Cat. Super happy for him. Never can really doubt him because his offensive skill is just that good. 23 and 12. Obviously had 5 fouls. The last foul, I think, to pick up the 5th one was one I think that frustrated a lot of us. But again, timely buckets, even with the 3-point shot not really falling. 1 of 6, still found ways to be aggressive. 6 of 6 at the free throw line, really attacked the glass. Some big offensive rebounds. That putback dunk really sealed it and hammered away any hopes of the Nuggets being able to do anything. You got Rudy. He gave you 13 and 9. He really stepped up tremendously in my opinion at the free throw line. 7 and 9 at the free throw line, and 77% is extremely huge for Rudy Gobert, because there were certain times where he got fouled and it could look like a play that would work in Denver's hand. Like, oh man, hey, that's a good foul, Christian Braun, not letting Rudy Gobert get the dunk. Now you might have been able to save 2 points, but then Rudy goes up there and he's able to knock down shots. You have to also give credit to Naz Reid. I mean, the fourth quarter, battling on the glass, battling on the interior, being able to come in and fill the void of a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns during the stretch of a Game 7 off the bench. I mean, you just can't you can't ignore how impactful that is, and that's why exactly he's the 6th man of the year. Because 6 man is not always about coming in and being the highest scorer or scoring 20 points off the bench. It's about being able to read the game, no pun intended, and being able to put your imprint on it and saying, hey, we don't have this, so I'm coming to crash the offensive glass. We just need hustle in the fight. We need some toughness on the interior. Boom, I'm doing that. I can knock down a three-point shot. I can make a play. I can set some good screens. Defensively, I can body up occasionally here and there, and that's what he did all season, and he continued to show that. And a night like tonight, where they didn't really have the greatest bench production because Nickeil Alexander-Walker couldn't really make a shot, and Kyle Anderson didn't score or didn't make a field goal in the 4 minutes he played, he really stepped up. This team, this fan base, this organization, I'm going to come out and say it. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is the type of game, to me, that you leave and you go on your charter plane and you go, they have the higher seats, so you're going to go to Minnesota, you're going back home. This is the type of game where I'm on a plane or I'm in the locker room right now after we're done celebrating this Western Conference Finals trip, and I'm letting the team know this was a championship win. This is a championship type win. This is the type of win that champions have on their course of winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Where you face adversity, your back is against the wall, everything is saying we can fold, we can pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, we lost to the reigning champs. They had the MVP. They were just a better team. You can have all of that. You can go into the halftime locker room and say, hey, our young star, he just couldn't make shots. It was just an off night for him. And we're going to try to come back next year, and we can just fold. We on the road. Nobody really thinks we can win 2 in a row against Denver. Nobody think we can come into Denver with the high altitude and really beat them after we dropped 2 games at home, 3 games in a row. And they did it. I don't think there's anybody in the playoffs right now who has had a better win. You give credit to the Mavericks for being able to pull out their series. But, I mean, the Shea foul, it's a tough mistake for him. You can look at the Celtics. They handled their business. That's something to be taken into credit for, that they're doing their thing so easily. You could talk about the Pacers, which we'll talk about in a second. I know they've dealt with a lot of different injuries, but you have to give them credit for taking advantage of it. I don't think there's a team that's had a win as impactful and as important as this one. This is a championship win. This is a game that tells the entire team we're a championship team. We can beat the reigning champs on a night where our young star goes 6 of 24, 2 of 10 from 3, only 2 free throws, and ends with 16 points. He had 4 points in the first half. 4. All year we talked about how unstoppable Denver is. There's no answer. Jokic, 34, 19, and 7. You tell me early this morning, while the Knicks are playing, that Jokic is going to come out and have 34, 19, and 7, and you tell me who I think is winning, I say, oh, man, if he's doing 30, 20, triple-double at home, there's no way that the Nuggets is losing. There's no way. You tell me that also Jamal Murray is going to have 35 points, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's easily the Nuggets win that game. But they don't. These dudes came out, combined for 64 points. It found a way to not be able to pull it out. The bench didn't really give them anything tonight. Christian Braun, I felt like, had some great effort plays. That's just what he offers. But outside of that, I mean, this is a good recipe. You found a way to allow Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray to have signature games. These are games where if you tell anybody that Jamal and Nikola is giving you 70 points in a closeout game at home, I think anybody is taking every single cent that they have in their bank account and they're putting it on the Nuggets to win. But I think the incredible job was 1 of 6 for Michael Porter Jr., 4 points for Aaron Gordon. He had more fouls than points. You know, think about the games that they won when he was perfect and he was making fall-away shots in the mid-range and he was getting all the dunks on the baseline. And not even just this series, but the Lakers series. When you're allowing this team to pop off on all cylinders, that's when I think they're their best. Obviously, it's good when you can have a duo combined for 70 points, but we know how they like to play. And we know how Jokic likes to play and how Jokic likes to win. And I think this is an incredible win for Minnesota to be able to withstand an incredible firepower first half, and then also allow a team to have their two best players combined for 70 is an incredible recipe. And you just got to give them credit, man. So shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They handle business. They're going to face the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals, and I think that's going to be incredible. I think that's going to be incredible. This is going to be a nice series, man. At least it should be. You know what I mean? Luka, Anthony Edwards, Kyrie Irving, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jaden McDaniels, Derrick Jones Jr., P.J. Washington, Rudy, Lively, and Gafford. I mean, this can get interesting. This can get interesting. Luka and Kyrie are going to the NBA Finals, or Anthony Edwards and Cat are going to the NBA Finals. And that feels good to say, man. That feels good to really say. We're going to get one of these guys are going to have something that can go to their legacy. And they're going to be able to get that finals appearance. And I think that's going to create a different conversation in the NBA. And I said it. This potentially could be the playoffs where Luka could go in and snatch the best player in the world. I said it months ago. And I think here we are. It's not going to be easy for either side. Minnesota coming off that series, I know they feel like there's nobody that can beat them, being able to beat the Nuggets. I know that they're in the locker room where they're on the plane right now feeling like there's not a team left in the playoffs that can beat them. And they should feel like that coming off a win in the Game 7 against the reigning champs. And I feel like the Mavericks feel the same way. The way that their role players played all series, the way that they were able to get stops against a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led OKC, they kind of made them have moments where they didn't look the way that they looked in past games or whatnot, and that's gonna be an incredible series. Transitioning over out east, my Knicks. I know a lot of people waiting to hear from me and my opinion about the Knicks, and I'll just tell you this before we dive into the game. I don't really feel any way. People like to talk trash and talk shit over social media when people's team lose and all of that. But I'm just not a guy you can do that to, because I don't really feel no way. I feel like this season, despite what Jalen Brunson said, I think this season was a success. I know it probably is a hard pill for him to swallow when you had such a good season and feel like things are right there for you to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And there's a lot of different plays that he probably regrets throughout the course of this series. I know that Nembhard's shot in Game 3 really eats them up a lot. But to be a fan of a team and see a coach and an organization be able to squeeze out every ounce of potential, every ounce of talent, every ounce of skill, every ounce of fight out of an entire team, it was just a sight to see. We've had everything in this season go against us to fold, and we still fought till we was the second seed. We fought against Philadelphia, even though they had Joel Embiid coming back, and they was playing good, and they were throwing haymakers at us. We was able to respond. Even in this series, we kept losing body after body after body against Indiana, and we still found a way to make it a 7-game series. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's no shot at anybody else, but I just feel like there's not another team in this entire playoffs that we have seen that could lose as many bodies as we've had and would have still been able to maintain this type of play and to give themselves a shot of going to the conference finals in a Game 7. I just don't think that there's another team that could have done it. And I won't even count the Julius Randle injury because he's been hurt for so long and we were gelling and meshing without him. But hell, we still lost Mitchell Robinson, a key rotational piece. Bojan Bogdanovic, a key rotational piece that we acquired at the deadline. We lost OG Anunoby in this series. Josh Hart was basically a scratch to me because I'm much love for him to play. But this is not a Josh Hart game in any instance. You know what I mean? He just didn't have the same aggression. You know what I mean? And it was obvious that he was bothered by the abdominal pain. But a shout out to him, a true warrior, for going out there and playing and competing at home and trying to will us to this win. But he just didn't give us the same type of Josh Hart energy. And you can only equate it to the abdominal injury. And then to be teased the way we were with the 4 minutes of OG Anunoby hitting the two shots and feeling like, damn, okay. But then also on the flip side, seeing him on the defensive end not really be able to move was kind of deflating. I think he hit a three, and then the next possession you see him, he's like, oh hell no, he really can't move. But after he hit the three, it's like, oh yeah, we here, come on. And then to see him not be able to play anymore was definitely tough. But yeah, lose Brunson to the broken hand. He was having a tough night regardless, but I still feel like we were keeping it alive in that window with Alec Burks coming in and giving us that run. And that's all you could really have. A team like the Knicks, I was never phased in that first half because I already knew the run was going to happen. I knew it was going to come. It was just about being able to have Jalen Brunson be Jalen Brunson when we got it down to single digits. And obviously we weren't able to. And then once he got hurt, the fight that Dante DiVincenzo and Burks were trying to give us in that back half of the third and then in the fourth just wasn't enough, man. Just wasn't enough. On the other side, though, you have to credit the Pacers. They came out and they shot 76% in the first half as a team. Whenever a team shoots like that against you in a game 7, there's no way that you could be mad, sad, or hurt. You literally just have to tip your cap off. We say that a lot, but when the team is shooting like that, you have to tip your cap off to them. The shots that they were able to generate, I really say the game ball, in my opinion, will go to Andrew Nembhard. There was obviously some moments from Tyrese Halliburton as their leading scorer. There were some moments from T.J. McConnell. It just felt like he couldn't miss a shot no matter who was contesting that little baby mid-range float shot. It just bottom of the net. You look at Nesmith, 8 of 8. You look at the shots Pascal hit out of the gate in that first quarter. It just felt like he set the tone a lot. But I have to give it to Nembhard. I really feel like Nembhard came out and set the tone early on. He hit some shots that were just clutch, timely. He impacted the game all over. 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. A lot of people have always wondered why I talk so highly of Nembhard. This is why he's one of my young guys in the league. I think he really came out and set the tone. And then once you had Tyrese Halliburton have the second quarter that he had, matched with some of the stuff that Miles Turner was able to give you, it's a success. It's a recipe. Have nothing negative to say about him. I think they came out and they did what they were supposed to do, which was beat the team in front of them. As much as we had injuries, you can't use them as an excuse. This is a part of the game. And the Pacers continue to take advantage of the injuries that's in front of them, which I think it's cool. It's good. Because if they didn't win, then we would all clown them. Like, you can't even beat the Knicks and they didn't have a full healthy team. Oh, man, you guys lost to the Bucks without Dame and Giannis. So, when we say that, we have to be able to say, oh, man, they handled their business, which is all they can do. They can't control who they playing. They can control who healthy. At this point in the season, a lot of teams are banged up, but obviously it does suck to see the Knicks have so many rotational pieces out. But this is a masterclass of an offensive performance and display from a team and a unit. It's always dope to see somebody go off and go crazy for 40 points, but when you see 1, 2, 3, you see 3 guys, basically 4 guys with 20 points apiece, almost the entire starting lineup had 20, 17 for Turner and 19 for Aaron Nesmith. And if you watch this game the way I did, every second, every possession, you know what I'm saying. It just felt like a 2K game where they get out of the pick and roll. Tyrese Halliburton's kicking it out to different guys. Nembhard making a 3. Turner's making a 3. The Knicks have possessions where they guard them well. And the last 2 or 3 seconds, the ball rotates and somebody hits a 3. A mid-range pull-up is going in. A contested mid-range pull-up. An offensive rebound going to a layup. Isaiah Hartenstein inbounding the ball without paying attention. A turnover into a layup and an and-one. They were just everywhere. They came out and They played to their strengths, which was the offense and the pace. They were scoring in 4 seconds off of made baskets. You know what I mean? And it didn't help that we had some fan on the sideline trying to talk shit to my boy Tyrese, which I told people I do not like the Garden with home court advantage, because stars in a situation like that are always going to try to show their ass. It just sets you up for potential epic performance from the opposing players. You know what I mean? And luckily, Tyrese Halliburton had a really good game, but he didn't have a crazy, mind-blowing game. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my Knicks spiel that everybody, I'm sure, was waiting for to see if I was going to be heard or fake depressed. Anybody that's doing that is just looking for attention. I try not to be that fan. There is no blame. I have nothing to say about the referees. We've had a season where we've been able to overcome every single injury, every single obstacle. And at some point, you have to be prepared for it to come to an end, right? And even if we had won this game, I was truly, as a Knicks fan, I was truly prepared for the Celtics to come out and be a dominant team. And that's just the reality of it. You know, it's a great story. It's a great run. It's magical. It's fun when it's happening. Dante DiVincenzo making threes rain. Josh Hart with his effort, and Jalen Brunson being able to just stay poised and aggressive against any defense. Having role players like Miles McBride step up off the bench, Alec Burks come out of nowhere, Isaiah Hartenstein and Precious Achiuwa fighting. Like, incredible run, incredible story, incredible energy, very fun season. But you can't be mad. You can't be mad when the magic stops. You just can't be. You have to be able to look at what you got from it. And like I said, we went out there, we competed. And like I've heard all my life from every coach I've ever played for, you want to go out there and leave everything on the floor. So when it's over, you can't look back and say, dang, if only I did this. Dang, if only if that happened. And I feel like everybody on that Knicks team, everybody on that coaching staff, and everybody in that front office and that organization can leave that arena. It can lay down tonight and feel like everything was left out there for the entire season. And as a fan, it leaves no sorrow or no anger in me to be able to see my team go out there and compete like that. So Pacers versus Celtics, like I said, much respect to the Pacers. They've done everything that they could up to this point. I just honestly think that the Celtics are head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA. They've shown us that in the regular season. They've shown us that in the playoffs so far by only losing 2 games. And I know that we've tried to pick them apart because they've been so good that we're all just looking for something to say, something to critique, and they're not winning away. And just feel like we're nitpicking, right? Every team wants to be able to get to the conference finals and the NBA finals as easy as possible, and that's what they're doing. It don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Who cares if Tatum may have had a bunch of signature games? Who cares? You know what I mean? If they make it to the NBA finals in the next 4 games, next 5 games, I think that they're that good that this could be a sweep. And again, it's not to slight the Pacers. It's not to disrespect the Pacers. I just think it's that much of how good the Celtics are. And if they are able to make it to the NBA finals or the Eastern Conference finals, like now, without all of these crazy performances that the media is searching and looking for, then who cares? If they win a championship and Tatum don't have to average 37 in the playoffs, you know what I mean? Like, what are we to get upset? Like, we can't critique it. All it's about is winning the games, getting the championship, and that's what it is. I just feel like there's a thirst for the Celtics because they've been so good that it kind of irritates all of us. And it's like, yeah, man, they've only lost 2 games, but Tatum ain't. It's just so much but. And it's just like, it's only so many buts you can do until you just accept the fact that this team is really good. And now, yeah, they are going to still have to come out and play the Pacers. I think the Pacers are playing with house money because everything is against them. They're going to start off on the road again. They're going to play a really polished team who's good on both sides of the floor. We know Indiana sometimes have a hard time guarding. I mean, they gave up 39 to Dante DiVincenzo in a game where Jalen Brunson didn't, only played 29 minutes. And the Celtics are going to have Drew Holiday. They're going to have Derek White. They're going to have the wings. We'll see what happens with Porzingis. But even without Porzingis, the Celtics just have so much defensively to throw at this team that, like, Siakam might not have the advantages that he had against the Knicks. You know what I mean? It might get a little tough for Nembhard. The Celtics probably will be able to guard the pick and roll a lot better than the Knicks were able to. They have multiple bodies they can throw at Halliburton. So we're going to see. And then there's other options for the Celtics, right? So, like, you were able to just throw bodies at Jalen Brunson and guard him 94 feet with Nesmith and McConnell and Nembhard and different things like that. I don't know if you have that type of answer for a Tatum or a Brown. You know what I mean? They're not going to be bringing the ball up 94. You know what I mean? You're going to be 94 feet and Drew Holiday and Derek White. They not really going to give a damn. So it's going to be interesting. Pacers got nothing to lose. Those are always the scariest teams. But at the end of the day, like I said, the Celtics have been head and shoulders above everybody. I expect them, like I have all year, to be in the NBA Finals. And we'll see who their matchup is. As always, I am Pee Wee the Plug. This is the Pee Wee the Plug YouTube channel. Stay locked in. All playoffs here. We down to the Final Four, ladies and gentlemen. We gonna get a new champion. Anytime we can get a new champion, I am happy as hell. In a decade of the 2020s, we have now have the Lakers won. I think the Bucks won. The Warriors won, and the Nuggets won. And now we're gonna have another new champion. So that's Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets. We're about to get our 5th champion already. So maybe this whole decade we'll just have 10 different teams win. Maybe nobody's going to win 2 in this decade. That would be every year we have a new champion for the 2020s. That could be something that's dope. So appreciate y'all. Stay locked in. I'll talk soon. I'm out. Peace.